If you think that today's lions and elephants are the biggest animals that have ever walked the earth, you are completely wrong. There was a time when snakes the size of buses crawled across the ground. Scorpions bigger than dogs hunted in the forest, and crocodiles made today's ones look like lizards. Today, I'm going to show you the 10 biggest animals that have ever existed on this planet, and some of them will make you grateful to have been born now.
The Earth is more than 4 billion years old, and for much of that time, the animals that lived here were monstrous in a way that we can barely imagine. Some were brutal predators, others were peaceful giants, but all of them had one thing in common. They made today's animals look small. Let's start from number 10 and work our way up to the most impressive of all.
We grow up thinking that the world has always been like this. Lions at the top of the food chain, sharks dominating the ocean, elephants being the largest on land. But that is a very limited view of what the Earth has already produced. If you went back in time with a time machine, without weapons, without protection, you wouldn't last even an hour in some of those periods. And the animals on this list are the reason for that.
Number 10. Glyptodon. Think of a giant armadillo, like really giant. The Glyptodon lived in South and Central America and could reach 3.5 meters in length and weigh more than 2 tons. It was covered by an extremely hard, bony shell, similar to modern armadillos, but on a much larger scale. What's interesting is that it was not a predator. It was herbivorous. But that armor it carried was incredible protection against the predators of the time, which included huge cats with massive fangs. It lived until about 10,000 years ago, which means our human ancestors probably encountered this animal. Some scientists believe that ancient humans even used the empty shell of the Glyptodon as shelter during the night. Imagine using a dead animal as a tent. That was the world.
Number 9. Pulmonoscorpius. That name sounds complicated, but the idea behind it is simple and terrifying. A scorpion that was almost 1 meter long. Pulmonoscorpius lived about 340 million years ago, during the period we call the Carboniferous. At that time, the level of oxygen in the atmosphere was much higher than it is today, which allowed insects and arthropods to grow far beyond what they do now. With more oxygen available, the body could sustain a much larger size. This scorpion actively hunted. It had powerful claws, a venomous stinger, and most likely fed on other arthropods and possibly small vertebrates that existed at the time. Today, the largest scorpions reach about 20 centimeters. This one was practically the size of a medium-sized dog. If you're afraid of scorpions, Pulmonoscorpius is your nightmare in fossil form.
Number 8. Beelzebufo. The name says it all. Beelzebufo comes from Beelzebub, which is the name of a demon, and bufo, which means toad in Latin. It was literally the demon toad. This amphibian lived about 70 million years ago in Madagascar and was around 40 to 45 centimeters long and could weigh nearly 5 kilos. It may not sound like much, but remember, we are talking about a toad. The largest toads today reach just over 1 kilo. What made Beelzebufo truly dangerous was its bite. Researchers conducted studies with modern toads from the same family and estimate that the bite force of this animal was equivalent to that of a medium-sized wolf. It could eat lizards, small snakes, and some scientists believe that even baby dinosaurs were on the menu. A toad that eats baby dinosaurs. This planet used to be a very different place.
Number 7. Meganeura. Now imagine a dragonfly. Now imagine it with a wingspan of more than 70 centimeters. That is Meganeura. It lived in the same period as Pulmonoscorpius, the Carboniferous, about 300 million years ago. Like the giant scorpion, it benefited from the high level of atmospheric oxygen at the time to grow to a size impossible by today's standards. Meganeura was a predator. It hunted other insects and probably small vertebrates. It flew through the skies of an Earth where forests were dominated by enormous plants and beings that today seem like science fiction. No flying insect today comes close to that size. The largest flying insect today is the Attacus atlas moth, with wings of about 25 centimeters. Meganeura was 3 times that size. Flying at that time must have been looking up at the sky and seeing giant shadows passing by.
Number 6. Megatherium. This one is one of the most fascinating creatures on the list because it seems too absurd to be real. Megatherium was a giant sloth, a sloth the size of an elephant. It could reach up to 6 meters in length and weigh up to 4 tons. It used its hind legs and tail as a tripod to stand up and reach leaves high in the trees, like a giant bear that is also a sloth. Its claws were huge and curved, designed to pull down branches. Megatherium lived until about 10,000 years ago in South America. Some studies suggest that it could be omnivorous, eating meat in addition to plants, which makes a lot of sense given the size of the body it needed to sustain. Like Glyptodon, ancient humans coexisted with this animal and probably hunted it as well, which may have contributed to its extinction. Imagine facing a sloth the size of an elephant with a wooden spear. It doesn't sound like a good afternoon.
Number 5. Sarcosuchus. Now we are entering truly dangerous territory. Sarcosuchus was a crocodile that lived about 112 million years ago in Africa and South America and was about 9 to 12 meters long, weighing around 8 to 10 tons. For comparison, the Nile crocodile today, which is already considered one of the most frightening predators on the planet, reaches about 5 meters. Sarcosuchus was more than double that. Its skull alone measured more than 1.5 meters. Its bite was devastating. It would lie in wait in rivers and wetlands in the same way crocodiles do today, waiting for dinosaurs to approach the water to drink. Yes, this crocodile ate dinosaurs. What is even more impressive is that Sarcosuchus continued growing for much of its life, which means that the oldest specimens were probably even larger than the fossils we have found so far.
Number 4. Arthropleura. We return to the Carboniferous period to meet the largest terrestrial arthropod that ever existed. Arthropleura was a myriapod related to modern centipedes and millipedes and reached almost 2.5 meters in length. 2.5 meters of millipede. Let that sink in your head. It moved through the humid and dense forests of that time, where trees reached impressive heights and the vegetation was completely different from anything that exists today. Interestingly, Arthropleura is believed to have been herbivorous. It fed on plants and plant material. It was not an active predator. But even being peaceful, having this creature passing by your side would be terrifying. Its fossils include preserved tracks that show the pattern of leg movement, and just looking at it gives you that creepy feeling that a centipede gives you, only multiplied by 1,000.
Number 3. Paraceratherium. Now we move on to the largest land mammal that ever existed. Paraceratherium was a prehistoric relative of rhinoceroses, but without a horn, and of a size that has no comparison with any land mammal today. It measured around 5 to 6 meters in height at the shoulder, reached 9 meters in length, and the largest specimens could weigh up to 20 tons. For comparison, the African elephant, the largest land animal today, weighs around 5 to 7 tons. Paraceratherium lived in Central Asia and Europe about 34 to 23 million years ago. It was herbivorous and probably fed on leaves from the tops of trees, like a giraffe the size of a building.
Its long neck helped it reach the highest parts of vegetation that other animals could not access. There was no predator that hunted a healthy adult of that size. That size was its protection.
Number 2. Titanoboa. Titanoboa is possibly the animal that causes the most chills on this list. It was a snake, the largest snake that ever existed on the planet. It lived in South America, in regions that today are part of Colombia, about 58 to 60 million years ago, right after the extinction of the dinosaurs. And it reached approximately 13 meters in length, weighing around 1 ton. To give you an idea, the green anaconda, the largest living snake today, reaches about 8 meters in the largest recorded specimens and rarely exceeds 250 kilos. Titanoboa was considerably larger in every aspect. It was not venomous, it was a constrictor. It wrapped its body around its prey and squeezed until it killed. Researchers estimate that the pressure it could exert was powerful enough to crush bones. It fed mainly on fish and crocodiles that lived in the rivers and tropical lakes of that time. The environment in that period was extremely hot, with temperatures much higher than today's climate, which favored the growth of cold-blooded reptiles like it. Number 1. Megalodon. Number 1 could not be any other. Megalodon is the most fearsome predator that has ever existed on Earth, and probably the most famous as well. It was a shark, but a shark of proportions that today seem impossible. The largest estimated specimens reached 18 to 20 meters in length. The largest great white shark recorded today is just over 6 meters. Megalodon was 3 times that size. Megalodon's teeth are what impress the most. They reached almost 20 centimeters, and the estimated bite force was around 108,000 to 182,000 newtons, which makes this bite possibly the most powerful of any animal that has ever existed. For comparison, the great white shark has a bite of about 18,000 newtons. Megalodon was literally 10 times stronger. It lived in the oceans between 23 and 3.6 million years ago and fed mainly on whales, adult whales. Researchers have found bones of prehistoric whales with tooth marks that perfectly match the size and shape of Megalodon's teeth. There's a popular theory that says Megalodon still lives in the depths of the ocean, but science does not support this. The deep ocean is too cold for a warm-blooded shark like it, and the food chain of the depths does not have prey of the size it would need. The bones of dead whales would be found with tooth marks if it still existed. They are not. Megalodon disappeared, and it was probably due to a combination of climate changes, changes in prey availability, and competition. But for more than 20 million years, it was the absolute ruler of the oceans. So these are the 10 largest animals that have ever walked, crawled, swum, and flown across our planet. From the giant Carboniferous scorpion to Megalodon dominating the oceans, Earth has already hosted creatures that today seem like they came out of a science fiction movie, but were completely real. What is fascinating about all of this is that most of these animals did not exist at the same time. Each of them was the product of a different planet, with different conditions, a different climate, and a different ecology. The Earth is always changing, and the beings that live on it change along with it. Some of these giants disappeared because of mass extinctions, drastic climate changes, or simply because the conditions that sustained them ceased to exist. Others, like Glyptodon and Megatherium, may have been directly impacted by humans. What will exist millions of years from now? Probably nothing that we could imagine right now.
If you want to keep watching content like this, subscribe to the channel.